How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today's update news video looks at all of the new content coming to World of Tanks console for both PS4, PS5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X consoles. Obviously, there's loads of content coming out. If you watched the stream yesterday, we haven't got any specific stuff regarding the big new update, but what we have got is the release date for that update. So the massive update we were talking about in one of my previous update news videos was actually confirmed to be for the 29th of June. So we've just got over, 2 weeks now as of the recording of this video. So yeah, really big update. We're going to be having a lot of new things. Wargaming haven't announced too much because what they basically said is that they always have some hiccups that happen along the time sometimes, and so releasing the content that will be coming into the game, and then if it doesn't, it basically causes some messes up, and then people get angry, obviously, because if you've said that you're going to do something and then it comes into the game and it's not what they said that it was going to be, obviously there's going to be some problems. So without further ado, we'll get into next week's news and the update information for Tuesday. So that is the 15th of June, I believe, or the 16th of June. Right, so without all of that in the background, we have got Tuesday. So gun raising up when close to objects has been fixed. So for all of those of you who were having massive problems with the gameplay, I was as well, where you're going around a corner and suddenly you look down the scope from third person view and your gun was up in the air for some reason within the game, and yeah, it was really annoying. That's basically been fixed, so that will no longer happen apparently. So this is what has been fixed. Don't know if it will cause any other problems, we have no idea, so don't take what I'm saying as the complete truth, because obviously things could go wrong, and so, this thing might have been fixed, but then another problem might have been caused. So hopefully, just hopefully, these quality of life stuff actually happen, and that they're actually good in game. Now, as far as other things, we have the reticle jump when some consumables expire has been fixed as well. So when you had the enhanced combat rations, when it finally went through the cycle and then suddenly your reticle would go into the center of the screen? Super annoying for those of you who know what I'm on about. When it basically ended the consumable, it would pop your thing right into the center of the screen regardless of where you were actually aiming. Before that, that's been fixed, so that will no longer happen apparently. It does say when some consumables, so whether or not that just means that only some of them did it, not entirely sure, but that's basically been fixed. So absolutely thumbs up, really good stuff for the actual gameplay within World of Tanks this week. We have got a few new things. We've got a new tank. I say new, but it's not. It's basically the unskinned version of the Roger Dodger HW tank that was released last year as part of Hot Wheels being the HW. Yeah, it's a good tank. It is a really nice tank. It is basically an upgraded Lerva. It's a Lerva with an E75 turret or hull, which makes the tank really good. It's fast. It's got pretty much everything you need. I think it has more alpha than the Lerva, so I think it's got 360 alpha damage as opposed to the 320 alpha that the Lerva gets, which makes the tank super good. It's really accurate. And obviously you'll have to have a look in game as to what the statistics are. If you want to have a look, then you can do that. And obviously, yeah, I think it's a decent heavy tank that you will actually have some fun with. As far as some other things, the grid selector in the overview map has been fixed as well. So yeah, apparently the grid was actually moving within the game, so that's basically been stopped, so that's always good. Now, as far as everything else within the game for the future of World of Tanks console, within the next couple of weeks and within this period for the next big update, we've got a few things that have been announced by Wargaming to how the console version of World of Tanks is basically going to play like within the next few weeks. So obviously, +1 -1 matchmaking starts today as of yesterday, so that was Friday. So basically, you'll have this weekend up until Tuesday of the recording of this video, and then basically that'll end, and then they'll get some data, and I expect that +1 -1 matchmaking will happen again within the next couple of weeks as they test it again. That tends to happen maybe we'll see it recurring more. Depends on how the player base actually fits in on World of Tanks. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Other things, we've got Quality of Life Initiative is starting, so they're basically just saying that they're going to be talking about quality of life updates in streams and the website, so that is basically what they're doing here, but I'm not entirely sure what else they'll be doing. I mean, yeah, maybe it'll be a bit more of a discussion between what the community actually want, so the quality of the game, you know, the HUD system, the tutorial system, stuff like that. Hopefully that'll be a really big thing for the game, and Wargaming will get on board with that. Not saying they will. I'm not going to be, you know, too optimistic about that happening, because in the past they've said that they're going to do this and sometimes it hasn't happened, and yeah, it's kind of left a bit of a salty taste in everyone's mouths before. So that's basically what it is. Hopefully it's really, really good. I'm assuming that they're going to try on this one, and with Minto leading the team, hopefully it will somewhat work out quite well. As far as other things, we have the G.I. Joe collaboration. There's a few new content drops coming. Now we have a few basically things. We've got a skin for the TS5. So you know the tank destroyer that came in recently? The new one, or I say new, yet again it's a Hot Wheels unskinned version that's now getting reskinned again. For the G.I. Joe season, so you'll have a breakthrough skin. Now there's no picture for this unfortunately, but we do have other pictures for some of the other things. As far as what that will basically mean, you know, you're probably looking at about 3,000 gold if you want to purchase the skin, maybe 1,500 gold considering it's a tier 8, but I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully, you know, it's on the lower end of the gold cost, because they'll probably actually sell more. So yeah, that's it in the game. We've also got a Cobra BOA skin for the T-54 prototype. So this, I believe, is actually for the Cold War game mode. So if you're playing that game mode, you're going to have a skin as well. This is basically a reskinned T-44. You get some interesting colours. It looks actually really, really nice. It's on screen, obviously, right now. And leave your comments as to what you actually think about these skins, because personally, I think that's a really cool skin. You know, it doesn't take Wargaming too long to probably actually make it, you know, adding on a couple of extra things. Looks really nice, look clean, and probably for 1,500 gold or 3,000 gold, I think, you know, it's not too bad if you want to support the game and the content that Wargaming are delivering. But me personally probably won't be buying the skin. I kind of don't really like the Cold War game mode anyway, so it's unlikely that I'm going to kind of waste my money on that, if that makes sense. Now, next thing, we've got Duke and Cobra 2D commanders, as well as Duke and Cobra 3D commanders. So these will basically be the extra XP commanders that you can actually pick up in game. They give you probably 30% more silver, more commander XP even. They don't give you any more silver, basically just trains up faster with these commanders. Obviously, with the Cold War game mode being the predominant one here, having the 3D aspect, whereas the World War II content only has the 2D. So if you want to actually convert them onto the World War II, you'll have to pay 60 gold or whatever it is. I think it might even be more. It might be 90 gold to swap them over to your World War II tanks, which is kind of a bit annoying. But for you, you know, the 2D commanders will be cheaper, and also the 3D commanders will be slightly more expensive. So I'd expect that the 3D ones are 3,000 gold each, and the 2D ones being between 1,500 to 2,000 gold. Now, on to the next main bit within the Cold War content. We've got a few new things as well. So these are actual new tanks. And the first thing being the Mobat G.I. Joe, basically. It's based on the MBT-70, so this is a brand new tank in the game. You'll see it on screen right now. Looks fairly interesting. It looks kind of like a hybrid of this M1A1. Looks interesting. It's an MBT-70 basically, and so, you know, if you're interested in the Cold War game mode, new tanks coming into the game, always a good thing in my opinion. If you want more content for your game, is it in line with what I'd like to see? More World War II content? No, but then again, you know, there are more players playing the various different game modes without, so it depends on where the majority of the community lie. And then we have the extra being the Cobra Hiss, an all custom made larger for the game. So this is basically an interesting vehicle, looks like a light tank basically within the game. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for those of you to have a look at. I don't know quite what this is actually going to be like in game, not entirely sure. Interested to see what your thoughts are on this thing, and yeah, just let me know in the comment section down below what you think of that, the Cobra Hiss. As far as extra things, we will gloss over the 3D commanders as we've already talked about them, but then we have tanks are selected for World War II or Cold War based on what era they are created / suited for, and based on what PC has and players want. So yeah, that's basically a statement by Wargaming saying that tanks are selected for World War II or Cold War based on what era they are created / suited for. So don't quite understand it. Why not just make them for both? Because if they are in the same era, like the post-war era, but they were also in World War II game on PC, it makes sense to just make them on both. And obviously it doesn't take much development time to be able to do that. Now, extras. Pain God talked about why there is no XP in custom games. That's just because people would be able to just farm the XP in custom games, and why it costs silver within the custom games as well. I expect that why the cost of silver is still in there, but you don't earn any. Obviously, earning silver in custom games would be kind of a bit counterintuitive. You drag people away from the core game, which would mean the matchmaker would be longer, and also this way people are draining their silver if they're playing in the custom games, which means they'll have to play the standard game in order to recoup the amount of silver that they get. Is it good for the health of the game and some of the players that enjoy playing custom games? Probably not, because it's always good to just jump in, have a bit of fun with your mates. There is not that many people that are just going to solely play custom games, so I don't get why you'd actually charge silver. Just literally don't charge the silver at all. It's a bit silly in my opinion anyway. So the next big update, obviously scheduled for the 29th of June, just confirming that for you guys, is the 29th of June. So we're going to end this season, I believe, on the 22nd of June. We'll have 1 week then until the next season, so the 29th of June. What tends to happen during that week where you go from the 22nd to the 29th in previous seasons is we've been given an earn operation for a premium tank basically, so you can do that as kind of the in-between period where Wargaming are kind of setting up for the next season, building up the hype. Obviously, if you want to pick up that free tank, don't know if it's actually going to be there. It might just be that Wargaming are just taking that time to develop a little bit more, but in my personal opinion, it probably means that there will be that little 1 week stint to be able to purchase or get a free tank basically at a discount. So yeah, interesting. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Not confirmed for you, but what is confirmed is 29th of June. Get on your Xbox or your PS4 or your PS5, whatever you're playing, and download the update and make sure that you stick around to see what actually comes into the game. Obviously, there'll be more update news videos coming out from my channel as soon as we get any more news from Wargaming themselves as to what's actually coming into the game. Obviously, if we know any leaks or teasers, we'll also do those videos for you as well. So, always good. As far as other things, because we went off on a bit of a tangent, we have the Spectator HUD is being worked on, and that Minto has basically passed additional feedback last week on to the developers. So, I guess that's good. Not entirely sure what that's going to mean for the Spectator HUD, but I don't think it's a big aspect of the game that people are going to want to actually see happen that much anyway. So I don't really get why that's such a specific focus for a lot of people at Wargaming anyway. Now, ranked battles. This is something for those of you who are interested in the more competitive experience of World of Tanks. So not entirely sure if I'm going to jump into ranked battles that often, just because I do enjoy the casual aspect of World of Tanks, not because I don't enjoy, those games where it's really tight, and definitely I will be playing ranked battles for you to give you a bit of an overview, what sort of thing you should be doing in ranked battles. But yeah, it's basically for clans and stuff like that, and people and community of these competitive scenes. So it's always good that wargaming kind of provide a platform for the competitive community within World of Tanks to just have that area where they can go, they can practice, they can have that kind of competitive experience for when they do the tournaments that wargaming do from time to time, and you can get prizes as well. So what tends to happen with ranked battles is basically you jump into a game, you start off at like a bronze rank or a copper rank, and then you play a game. If you win, you get a certain amount of points. If you come top on your team and you lose, you get a certain amount of top points, and you can progress up through the tiers: bronze, silver, gold. Then you probably get some sort of platinum, or it's that sort of tier where you go copper, bronze, silver, gold, and then you get like master or something very similar where you're coming up against players that are also in the same bracket as you. So as you go through the grind, all the ranked battles, you're basically coming up against opponents with the similar sort of skill level. So interesting to see what your thoughts are on that, and whether or not you actually played it before. Let me know in the comment section down below. Be interesting to see what you think. As far as other things, a tank vault is being designed to showcase all the tanks that you own, including rare retired tanks. So when I mean rare retired tanks, that is tiers 1 and 2. It will basically just show off. I'm guessing like you'll just be able to like flick through all of the tanks like you have got in the garage already. Not entirely sure how that will work, but it will be interesting just as an extra to the game. Gives a bit more depth, I guess. So yeah, interesting to see what they do with that. And obviously let me know what you think about the development time going into things like that. Now with regard to the game balance, we've got two things that are kind of key that Wargaming are going to be doing. And it's basically the tank commander mode is slightly unbalanced with regards to how you can win on it, and certain metas where people just go AFK by setting up their tanks in a specific way to earn silver. It's kind of one of those things that is just a bit silly. But yeah, they're basically tweaking a little thing in that so that it runs smoother for those of you that enjoy the tank commander mode that is in World of Tanks. As far as the other balancing change is that they're basically saying that they will be rebalancing some of the tanks 2 at a time. So they'll go through, every single time they do a tank rebalance, they'll basically rebalance 2 tanks. Now what those tanks are going to be is most likely old premium tanks, I would guess, so that they can monetize it. That's probably what the business model would do, or maybe one of them would be a premium tank and one of them would be an actual tank in the game. So if you're seeing any development into the tanks that you have, some of the older ones, some of the ones that haven't seen a lot of love, like the Leo and stuff like that, then be sure to kind of keep an eye on these news videos to see which tanks have got a buff, and you'll basically be able to determine which tanks you should be playing. Now, another thing, Wargaming have basically said that the public test server is a no-go. They're not doing a public test server, it's not possible. Apparently, I guess that's to do with like the Microsoft Store, and that they'd probably have to pay for the ability for people to download another public test server. Don't know, and it probably costs money for them, which I expect is the reason why they can't do it. There's probably not a reason why they can't actually do it other than the fact of the money. So yeah, that's basically why they're doing it. I don't expect that we'll ever have a public test server for console, as probably the player base is just too small at the moment, and that it wouldn't warrant the actual spending from them. So yeah, it's one of those things that would actually benefit the game hugely, but it doesn't, because they aren't going to spend the money on it basically. So as far as other things, damage standing. So marks of excellence will be returned to the garage soon. So that's one of the key things that they have highlighted, that those of you who enjoy looking at your marks percentage, I am one of them, definitely that will be coming back to the garage. So you'll be able to look through those, you'll be able to have a look and then basically determine where you are at the stages of the marks. That will be before you even get your first mark. So instead of it just showing when you got your first mark, it will basically come through for all of them. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thumbs up from me. Really, really happy about that. Don't know what you guys are going to think about that, whether you actually like marks of excellence in the game or what, but comment down below, what do you actually think? And then we can get more of a discussion going. As far as the last thing in the game, we have G.I. Joe commanders will have voiceover, so you will have specific voiceover kind of customization with the G.I. Joe commanders, so they will actually have the voice of the G.I. Joe characters. And so for those of you interested in maybe getting some sort of voiceover that isn't just the standard boxy American voiceover that Wargaming have basically got in the game, then definitely use some of the G.I. Joe commanders, I guess, depending on how cringy they actually are in the game, as to actually have this kind of toy G.I. Joe commander. But yeah, if you manage to get your hands on one, they will have a voiceover, and so I guess it would warrant maybe spending a little bit of money so that you don't hear the repetitive American voice on the G.I. Joe, on your commander basically. So yeah, that is basically everything for the news for this week. If you want to check out some of the Twitch streams by Wot Console, you can have a look on screen right now. That's when they are. You can basically get them on Twitch at 7 o'clock UTC, which is 8 o'clock GMT at the moment. Obviously that changes depending on the daylight saving time basically. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then make sure you go and jump into those streams. You'll have an insider information on the 14th of June, a map preview with Minto on the 15th of June, and then on Friday you'll have a community update with Pain God. I will keep you all informed with all of the latest World of Tanks console news, so be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and also if you did enjoy this video, why not hit a like button, as it does actually help out the channel quite a lot. And if you want to check out other content, it should be on screen right now. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.